Well, let's start by introducing you to the family radio audience. I know you have a song that says, "Hello, my name is." Who is Matthew West?
I'm a husband to Emily West, and she's been my wife of 17 years. I'm a dad to two daughters who are giving me a run for my money. Lulu is 14 and Delaney is 11. And I'm passionate about writing songs, and in doing so, telling the stories of people's lives, and ultimately, really retelling the greatest story ever told about the one who's the author of all of our stories and who can bring hope to the most broken story. And so that's really what I feel like I've been put on this earth to do, to connect to the hearts of people through the songs that I write and let them know that there's hope for their story. It's always felt like an important mission, but these days it feels that much more important at a time where hope seems to be in short supply. I get so excited to wake up every day and try to write songs that put a smile on people's faces and maybe remind them that even when they can't see hope, hope is still very much alive.
Yeah, here at Family Radio, most of what we play are the hymns, and you as a songwriter, and I know that your dad was a pastor, and he and your mom live closely with you there. I'm sure you have a great appreciation for for the hymns that came before the songs that Matthew West has written. Can you tell us maybe how that influences what you do today?
Yeah, I mean, I have a deep love and appreciation for the hymns. And, for me, when I think about some of my favorite hymns, they really epitomize what one of the things I love most about music is how music can encapsulate a certain moment in time, and that certain song will always be associated with that one moment. It's like different songs can really become their own little time capsule. And so when I think of I come to the garden alone, and singing He Walks With Me and He Talks With Me. When I hear that, I'm transported back to the memorial service for my grandmother
Mm.
in Mason City, Iowa, and singing that hymn together. When I think about Just As I Am, I remember George Beverly Shea and the choir singing behind Billy Graham while he was preaching at a crusade. And I sat as a 13-year-old kid on a blue couch and prayed with my mom and asked Jesus into my heart. And so I can't hear the hymn, Just As I Am. I can't hear that hymn without being brought back to that moment in time, a pivotal moment in my life. So, the hymns have very much had an impact in my life, not just as a music maker, but as a follower of Christ. And a lot of times I'll sit down to write a song, and certain words of a hymn will pop into my brain, and I'll think, I can't say it any better than that hymn said it. So that's a little bit of kind of my experience being impacted by some of the great hymns of old that still ring true today.
Let's go back to March, when all of a sudden you became almost unemployed, I guess you would say, with the COVID virus. How did that impact you?
Yeah, 2020 every industry has been hit hard by the pandemic, and you know, my industry is no different. The music industry has been hit pretty hard, category 4 kind of storm. Um, I was in Trenton, New Jersey, getting ready to go on stage in an arena with Casting Crowns, and we were told that the entire city of Trenton, New Jersey, the capital, was going to be shut down, and our whole tour was canceled. And with that, since March 7th, our tour buses have been parked, and our bands and crews have all gone home. And I think I quickly went into a bit of a panic. If I'm being honest, there's been a lot of days in 2020 that I would do over if I could, days where maybe I haven't been as good of a leader for my family as I would want to be. And, one of the reasons for that was just early in the pandemic, I just was addicted to the TV screen, waking up in the morning and focusing on that little right, counter on the right-hand side of the right column of the news stations, telling us about the new cases and the death toll. And boy, you can't start your day watching all of that news without it affecting you. And my wife not so gently informed me that it was affecting me in a negative way that I didn't realize. And one day she just kind of sat me down. She said, hey, she's not one to mix words. And she just said, hey, you got to do a better job. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to take care of my family, because I thought I was doing a good job because I was working to survive. I was working to take care of, I'm not just an artist, I'm a CEO. I've got employees, I've got payroll, I've got all these things. And I thought I was doing a good job taking the reins and working. And she said, yeah, but what you're doing is you're waking up and you're watching the news and you're getting all wound up. You're getting all anxious and tense. The kids and I, we're looking to you, and we need you to lead us with calm under pressure. And she's like, and she just reminded me of what a different person I am when I start my day with Jesus. She gave me such a great reminder that, regardless of the responsibilities on your shoulders during a crisis, you have to be reminded that there's a daily invitation from the one who promises to lift those responsibilities off of your shoulders, the one who promises to carry your burdens. And if you forget to go spend time with the one who's really in control, then you'll quickly feel like your life is spinning out of control. So that's been a big turning point for me. Just imagine that. When we spend time with Jesus, it changes our perspective on the day ahead, and also our ability to navigate the day ahead on behalf of those who are looking to us for leadership.
So you've found hope in spite of COVID-19. Can you tell us some ways that you are experiencing that with people you're able to still interact with?
Well, I'll be honest with you. What's been so surprising in this is I've seen so many opportunities to connect with people, and which is so ironic because we've gone through a season where we feel like we've been forced to separate more than ever before from our places of work, our places of worship, places of education, our friends, our families, loved ones. We're being told to live life 6 feet apart and behind a mask, and yet through it all, we're still finding unique ways of connection with people. And, we always talk about the downside of technology, but this year has really shown us some of the beautiful upsides of technology. The fact that I can go live on Facebook and Instagram and spend 10 minutes a day praying with people who are out there hurting. I just did that this morning, and we had 2,000 comments on Facebook. Many of them are prayer requests, people saying, hey, I'm battling depression right now. Hey, my wife just got diagnosed with cancer. And, so for a lot of people, COVID is just another thing on an already long list of burdens, heartbreak, loneliness, addiction, whatever it may be. And it's just been so awesome to connect with people right where they are and see how God is going to use my voice in a different way than maybe I thought he was going to in 2020. And a lot of times we tend to get one-dimensional in our thinking. And I think God's just been showing me this year that he is not a one-dimensional God, and neither are the children that he creates. And so whether, sure, I'm not on stage in an arena singing for thousands of people this weekend, but God's showing me the different ways that he wants to use my voice to be an encouragement to other people. And on a selfish note, what I would share is that encouraging other people has gotten me out of my own head. It's gotten me to take my eyes off of my own crisis, my own circumstances. So imagine that when we stop long enough to consider the needs of other people, it makes our own needs look a lot different and a lot more manageable even. You've heard it said that if everybody took their problems and put them all in one great big pile, you might look around at everybody else's problems and gladly take yours back. right? And so I think this has been a year of perspective gained, even if it's been a year of wages lost. And I'm thankful for that. And that's where I think I've found hope, is just going, man, the Bible talks about how God works all things for the good. And I think sometimes we don't quite grasp exactly what that means, so that what we can start to understand is that it doesn't mean he's going to fix my situation right now. We don't see a clear answer. Even the experts don't seem to know exactly what's going on right now. And yet we can rest in knowing that God has his own timing. He has his own answers. He has his own way of answering our prayers. And it may look differently than we thought he should answer the prayer, but in his own way, in his own time, he will work even this crisis of 2020 for the good. And one of the ways I'm seeing it happen right now is just in some of the good that's coming out of this crisis, and the chance to connect with people, help people stay encouraged, and point people to Jesus in different ways than I ever thought imaginable.
Are you able to transfer this hope into some new music from Matthew West?
Well, I should hope so, for sure. I think transferring what the Lord's teaching me into music has been my greatest pleasure and joy in life, really. Aside from my wife and my kids, the feeling of purpose that has filled my heart when I'm able to take a lesson that I feel like the Lord is showing me, and I'm able to put it to music and create a 3-minute song that maybe goes out into the world and touches somebody's life. It's what I know that I was put on this earth to do. And when you get a taste of something that has an eternal value, when you feel like you're getting close to the center of God's will for your life, you start to realize that, wow, okay, this is what John 10:10 was talking about when Jesus said, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. And I think too many times we settle for something less than life to the full because we don't dare go straight to the middle of God's will for us. And yet when we're willing to do that, we discover what life to the fullest looks like. And so I think the days where I most get to taste the life to the fullest is when I'm doing what I love to do, what I know God has called me to do, and a song is born out of that experience, spending time with the Lord. So that's new music will surely be coming.
And some of the ones that you've already put together, Truth Be Told, is a wonderful song. Can you tell us the story behind that song?
Yeah, this is a song that's basically the autobiography of a good preacher's kid who from an early age felt the pressure to be perfect, always felt like all eyes were on him. And he learned how to look the part. He got good at putting on a face and saying the right things, quoting the right scriptures, impressing everybody around him, to where his Christianity, his faith, felt a little more like a performance than a real thing. And fast forward, I grow up from being a preacher's kid to being a contemporary Christian singer, and lo and behold, my existence looks very similar. All eyes are on me. There's a pressure to be perfect. And with that pressure to be perfect comes a tendency to pretend, to be more focused on the outward appearance, and maybe try to ignore the fact that sometimes what's going on inside doesn't match up with what I'm projecting on the outside. Now, we're living in a social media world where I know every single person hearing me describe myself can relate on some level, that we would much rather present this picture perfect image of ourselves than deal with the honest and maybe sometimes ugly truth of what we're really going through. And that's why the song talks about, I say I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine, but I'm not. And that was inspired by just that image of a bunch of smiling faces in church on Sunday. How are you, brother? I'm fine. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. Deep down, brother so-and-so's marriage is falling apart, and sister so-and-so's battling severe depression, and the list goes on, because you've heard it said, everybody's fighting a hidden battle. You know, everybody's fighting. We all got some brokenness in our stories. It's just so hard to lead with that. And I guess I just wanted to write a song that challenged myself to dare to be the most authentic version of myself and dare to believe that there's a God who sees it all and he still loves me. And if I can send that message out to one person today to let them know, hey, you know, this is a year that's going to challenge your spiritual health, your mental health, your emotional health. And sometimes you just got to step up and let the truth be told and know that you're not alone, because we're all fighting battles of our own. And God promises that we don't have to fight those battles without him.
Yeah, very good. I'm sure that there's a place for truth be told here on Family Radio. So thank you for writing that one. It's going to be, it's already one of my favorites. What kind of a Christmas message would you give any radio audience right now? I know that you're doing some Facebook events with your fan base, and that's wonderful. So, what's your Christmas message for us this year?
Well, my Christmas message is simple, and it's in the form of a song that was born during quarantine. I sat down and wrote a Christmas song that I just released a couple of weeks ago, and the song is simply titled "The Hope of Christmas." And in writing the song, I sort of traveled back to the Christmases of my childhood, you know, growing up in my dad's church and Christmas Eve service, and you know, holding my dad's hand and holding a candle in the other hand, and really remembering simpler times. The song talks about innocent Decembers, and it feels like these days that our Decembers are not so innocent. You know, 2020's been filled with a lot of brokenness and times where hope has seemed like it's in short supply. And I wrote this song as a reminder to myself and hopefully to anybody who hears it. It just saying, Lord, remind me that you're still the hope of Christmas. You're still the light when the world looks dark. You're still the hope of Christmas, and you're still the hope of my heart. And I guess my encouragement to anybody this Christmas season would be to look up, to look into your Bible and be reminded that the gospel is the story of a God who doesn't leave us to fight pandemics and financial crisis on our own, but the ultimate hope we have is that we have a God who pursues us. That's the story of the gospel. And I believe that that hope is still very much alive for such a time as this. Hope can still be found. Hope has a name, and his name is Jesus.
Amen. Let's do a quick little lightning round, and then I'll let you get back to your busy day. In one or two words, I'd like an answer if you could. And so here we go. Favorite Christian song or hymn you love to sing that you didn't write?
Oof. Well, I would go with Blessed Assurance. I love "This Is My Story, This Is My Song," praising my Savior all the day long.
Your memory of your first date with your wife, Emily?
Yes, we went for a walk downtown Franklin, Tennessee, and we talked about puppies, and we lost track of time, and I was quickly falling in love. I'll never forget it.
Your favorite character in the Bible?
I got to go with Paul. You know, Paul let the truth be told. You know, he said he called himself the chief of sinners, which means he was pretty good at sinning. And I think if Paul can write so much of the New Testament and be used by the Lord to spread the message of hope in Christ, and he was the chief of sinners, that means there's hope for the rest of us.
Your favorite book of the Bible?
Wow, that's a good question. Man, I mean,
Probably one of Paul's, right?
Right, yeah, I would definitely. I mean, if I had to pick one, I would go with the Psalms, just because, you know, I just find myself daily reading a psalm or two, just meditating on the good, meditating on remembering to come to God with praise and gratitude and thanksgiving. I would definitely point to the Psalms, but There's a lot of good ones.
You bet.
I don't know that I would pick Leviticus.
Okay. Once again, a song that you didn't write, your favorite Christmas song.
Whew. I've always loved I'll Be Home for Christmas. That's always resonated with me for a guy who's spent a long time on the road every year. This year I'll get to be home for Christmas, and I don't know, that one always gets me. I've never recorded a version of that song either, so I think I'm going to put that on a Christmas album this next year.
Very good. Your best childhood gift?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to go with Air Jordans, man. Like, I grew up in Chicago during Michael Jordan's heyday, and opening up a pair of brand new Air Jordans was pretty cool. It's still pretty cool.
And of course, we have to give at Christmas time. So your best gift that you've given to someone else?
Boy, that's a great question too. The best gift that I've given somebody else. Well, I'll say I always try to surprise my wife with that one thing that she would never buy for herself. And so I've definitely splurged on a special ring for her. I think it was last Christmas that scored me some major points. So, when you show up with that bling, man, you score some points.
What's your favorite place to write songs?
My studio. I finally have a home studio. It's called the Story House, and it's just such an inspiring place. And I've got all my guitars out and my piano, and I was out here at 5 this morning just writing songs and getting inspired just because I couldn't sleep. So that's my favorite place to write.
And the final question, would you be a better trumpet player or a violinist?
Oh gosh. I don't think I'd be a very good trumpet player at all. I'm going to go with violin, but I don't think I wouldn't put money on me for either one, Vance. If you're a betting man, I'd just keep your money in your pocket.
Which would you like to, if you were to do a special song sometime that lent itself to a violin accompaniment or a brass accompaniment? Which appeals to you more?
Well, I love both. I really do. Nothing gives me goosebumps like a great string arrangement, though. So I would probably go with, something that features a string quartet or an orchestra of some kind. I'm a sucker for that.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's great reconnecting with you, and we'll continue to pray for your mom and dad and for everybody that's going through the virus itself these days. So,
Vance, it's always good to see you, good to talk to you, and I hope your listeners are encouraged by what we were able to share with each other, and most importantly, just to be encouraged as we close out this year, just to be reminded of the hope that we have in Jesus. And I'm thankful for how faithful he has been and will continue to be. So thanks for giving me this time to share with your listeners.
And if they want to connect with you, that little Facebook gathering that you do, I'm not sure how often you do it, but how can they do that?
Well, two of the neatest ways to connect with me would be on Facebook every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Central. We go live, and it's just about a 15-minute check-in. I'll sing a song. We'll have a little devotion. We take prayer requests, and my dad joins me. And my dad and I have a nonprofit organization called Pop We, which is a little bit of a weird name, but he's my pop, and we're building a community of people that just want to go deeper than music and help find resources and encouragement for people who are hurting, and so our ministry is doing some really great things. We send out a weekly devotional to about 50,000 people free of charge. So we'd love to sign you up for that if people want to receive just a weekly encouragement to spend time with Jesus. And then I just launched a podcast called the Matthew West Podcast earlier this year. And each week I interview different authors, influencers, artists, a lot of exciting guests with powerful testimonies to share. And so every Wednesday, an episode of that releases as well. So wherever people listen to podcasts, I would encourage them to check out. Today, I just released an episode with Rebecca Lyons, who's a best-selling author and speaker. And just, she shared a powerful story of overcoming panic attacks and anxiety. And it's just something that I think a lot of people are dealing with. And so that's been a really fun way of connecting with people as well. So those are just a couple of areas where people can stay in touch with me.
Okay, thank you, and keep bringing the hope. We all appreciate it.